Is contempt of court a felony on Long Island? Contempt of court is an act or omission that interferes with the proper administration of the court or disrespects the authority and dignity of the court. The primary objective behind punishing contempt of court is to preserve the effectiveness and sustain the legitimacy of the judicial system. A court's power to hold someone in contempt is a necessary tool in its arsenal to maintain the rule of law, as defiance of court orders can render the judicial process meaningless. Contempt of court on Long Island. Contempt of court is defined as the willful disregard or disobedience of a court's authority or the act of intentionally acting disrespectfully towards a court or judge in a legal proceeding. This behavior undermines the court's ability to function effectively and fairly, and it is a punishable offense. The authority to hold individuals in contempt enables judges to enforce their orders and maintain courtroom decorum, ensuring that their judgments are respected, and disruptive parties are held accountable for their actions. New York State laws on contempt. Under New York State law, contempt of court is divided into two categories: criminal contempt and civil contempt. Each type has distinct provisions and punishments, depending on the nature of the contemptuous act. Criminal contempt. Criminal contempt is when an individual purposely disobeys a court order, interferes with the proper functioning of the court, or disrupts court proceedings. It generally involves disrespectful behavior or actions that are meant to undermine the authority, dignity, or integrity of the court. In New York, criminal contempt may result in penalties such as imprisonment, fines, or both. There are various degrees of criminal contempt, with escalating responses based on the severity of the offense. 1. First-degree criminal contempt is the most serious, being a Class E felony, and may result in up to 4 years in prison and additional fines and surcharges. 1. It often involves actions such as threatening or causing bodily harm to a person protected by a court order or disobeying a stay-away order. 2. Second-degree criminal contempt may include actions like violating protective orders or restraining orders. 2. This offense is a Class A misdemeanor, the conviction of which can lead to a maximum prison sentence of up to 1 year in jail and/or 18 months in probation and fines. Direct contempt. Direct contempt is an act of contempt committed in the presence of the court or during a legal proceeding. It includes any behavior that undermines the court's dignity or disrupts the orderly conduct of the trial, such as inappropriate language, disrespectful conduct, or failure to comply with the court's instructions. In cases of direct contempt, the judge can take immediate action, such as imposing a fine or incarceration, without the need for a separate hearing or due process. This is because the judge has directly witnessed the contemptuous act and can impose a just punishment based on their observation. Some examples of direct contempt could include: 1. Yelling or interrupting the judge or other court participants during the proceedings. 2. Threatening or engaging in physical violence within the courtroom. 3. Refusal to take an oath as a witness or provide testimony when ordered to do so. Indirect or civil contempt. Indirect contempt, sometimes referred to as constructive contempt, occurs outside the presence of the court and typically involves the violation of a court order. Unlike direct contempt, indirect contempt requires a separate hearing to establish evidence of the contemptuous act and to allow the accused an opportunity to defend their actions. The due process requirements in cases of indirect contempt are crucial, as the judge was not a direct witness to the alleged misconduct and must rely on third-party reports and evidence. Civil contempt is meant to be remedial in nature, and its goal is to ensure compliance with the court's orders, rather than to punish the offender. Examples of indirect contempt could include: 1. Disobeying a court order, such as not paying child support or defying a restraining order. 2. Interfering with the judicial process, such as tampering with evidence or obstructing court proceedings. 3. Communicating with jurors or attempting to influence their verdict outside the scope of the trial process. Examples of contemptuous conduct. Various acts and behaviors can be considered contemptuous, depending on the circumstances. Some common examples include: 1. Disrespectful language or gestures. 2. Disobedience of court orders. 3. Disrupting court proceedings. 4. Impeding the administration of justice. 5. Failure to pay court-ordered support. Contempt of court is a felony. Contempt of court can be classified as either a misdemeanor or a felony, depending on the severity of the actions. In New York, contempt of court is considered a felony when there are aggravated circumstances present or when the accused has committed repeat offenses. Aggravated circumstances. Aggravated circumstances refer to situations where contemptuous behavior is combined with other criminal actions or is considered especially severe. Repeat offenses. If an individual has previously been found guilty of contempt, a subsequent charge may be considered a felony. Potential penalties for felony contempt charges. Felony contempt charges have more severe penalties than misdemeanor charges. Potential penalties for felony contempt of court convictions in New York can include jail or prison sentences, fines and financial penalties, and probation. Jail or prison sentences. Depending on the severity of the offense and the classification of the felony, prison sentences for felony contempt of court convictions can range from a minimum of 1 year to a maximum of 7 years. For Class E felonies, the term may be between 1 and 4 years. Fines and financial penalties. In addition to jail or prison time, fines and financial penalties can be imposed for felony contempt charges. Probation and other alternative sentencing. In some cases, probation may be an option for individuals convicted of felony contempt charges. Legal defense for contempt of court charges. Contempt of court charges can result in serious consequences, including fines and jail time. If you are facing such charges, it is essential to understand the legal defenses available to you and to consult with an experienced criminal defense attorney. While the specific defense strategy will depend on the facts of your case, some common defenses include legitimate excuses or misunderstandings. In some cases, you might have a legitimate excuse for the conduct that led to the charge. Lack of intent. To be found guilty of contempt of court, a person must usually have acted with an intentional, willful disregard of the court's authority. Insufficient evidence. In other cases, you may be able to challenge the evidence against you as insufficient to support a finding of contempt. Contact us at 516-280-2160 or 631-265-1052 to schedule a consultation with one of our attorneys.